All right, today we're going to be talking about categorize and classify. That's what we're going to be focusing on for this week, as well as the story of the week that we're going to be reading. So in order to get a better idea of what these words actually mean, we're going to look at the first word. The first word is categorize. So categorize means to give a name to a group that have something in common. Then we have classify down here. Classify means to put things into the group it belongs. So as you can see, categorize is kind of like just naming them, and then classify is actually putting them where they belong. So we're gonna look at one example that I did for you over here. At the bottom you see two words, categorize and classify, but right on top of those words you see drawings. Think about what's the same or what's different about those drawings above. We're gonna look at this over here. Now here you see that there's different shapes here, but in order to categorize them, we have to figure out what groups are they in. So we know these are circles, these are triangles, they're circles again, more triangles, more circles, more triangles, more circles, and then more triangles. So we can assume that the two groups here are circles and triangles. Now we know circles are round all the way. It's a curved line that just keeps going. It never becomes straight. And a triangle, we know, are three sides put together. So here's one side, another side, and the third. So that's one way we can categorize them. We can categorize them as here are all the circles and here are all the triangles. There is another way to categorize it though, because then we also have different colors. So here you see that some shapes are blue and some shapes are green. Now you can categorize this however you want, because I didn't tell you how to categorize them. I didn't tell you to look for shapes. I didn't tell you to look for colors. But for this one, it might just be easier if we just categorize them into circles and triangles. So do we have our different categories? Yes. One category is all circles. One category is all triangles. Now, how do we classify them? Now, classify them is actually labeling them and saying, you know, this is a circle and this is a triangle. Now, like we mentioned, a circle is a curved line that keeps going and it doesn't end. So what we're going to do is we're going to put a little C next to all the ones that are circles, because circle starts with the letter C. So this is a circle up here, so I'm going to put a little C. This is a circle too, so I'm going to put a little C. This is a circle, C, 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 C. I classified them now because now I'm telling you what those are. Then we had the same thing for the triangles. So the triangles, we're going to classify them. We're just going to use T, T for triangle. So this is a triangle, this is a triangle, this is a triangle, and so on and so forth. So we classified them now because now we said what they actually are. Our categories that we chose, so when we categorize them, we said, well, it's really easy to tell right away that there's two different shapes here. One shape is circles, one shape is triangles. So what were our categories? It was triangles, and the other one was circles. So now we did one, but we have another example to do. Take some time now to also try to categorize these pictures. What do you see? What are the two different groups that you can put these into? Now, next we have our other example. So here we see a bunch of little faces, and the faces have an emotion on them. So the ones that have the smile, we can tell those are probably happy. Now the ones that have the frown, so it's going down, that one you can tell that they're probably sad. Now, we have to categorize them. So right away, just how I explained, I told you about two different emotions, so you can probably say, well, the two groups are the sad ones and the happy ones. And that's fair. You can also do kind of like how we did above. Well, there's two different colors. So you can do the blue ones or the green ones. That works too. But there's also another one, because if you look here, they are different sizes. So for example, this is a little one, this is a big one. This is a little one, another little one, a big one, another big one, a little one, big one, and a little one. So here, when you're categorizing it, there's actually a couple different ways that you can name the groups. You can pick whichever you want. For me, I think it's just easier because I can see the smiley face and the sad face to categorize them into two groups. And those two groups are going to be the happy ones and the sad ones. So I'm going to write that one down. How am I going to categorize these? Into sad, and then into happy. So those were the two categories that I picked. Could I have picked green and blue? Absolutely. Could I have picked the big ones and then the small ones? Yes, I could have. Now, I'm going to classify them. Because, like I said, I just thought that it was easier for me to pick the sad ones and the happy ones because I could see that on their face. Now I'm going to classify them. So now I actually have to put them in the groups that it belongs. So I'm going to put an S by the sad faces, and then I'm going to put an H by the happy faces. So this one over here, this one's a happy one. So I'm going to put an H. This one over here is a sad one. So I'm going to put an S. Here, this one's happy. Happy, sad, happy, sad, sad, happy, sad. So now we picked our categories, we said what the groups were, and now we also classify them because now we said which ones belong to which group. All right, so now when thinking about reading, we need to think about why categorizing and classifying is important for reading. Categorizing and classifying is really important for reading because that's what authors use sometimes in stories so that there's the good characters and the bad characters. However, an author normally will not say, hey, this is the character that's the hero, or this is the character that's the villain. An author usually doesn't say that in the story because it's your job to figure out who is who. Now, one thing that authors do to help you figure out who is maybe a good character or who is a bad character is they give you clues in the story. Now, those clues are sometimes used when they're describing the character. So for example, if the author is talking about a character who always pushes, screams, and really makes the other characters feel bad about themselves, is that a good character? Probably not, because they're doing things that you shouldn't be doing and they're causing harm to others. Now, an author might describe another character as someone who is very helpful, they're very nice to the other people in the story, they share or they play with people. That one is probably going to be a good character. Again, the author didn't tell you that was a good character, but they gave you lots of clues so that you could figure that out yourself. Now we're going to practice how to use clues in a story in order to categorize. One day at school, Anna saw a little boy crying. She asked him if he was okay. He said, "No, my mom is sick and I am scared." Anna asked him if he needed a hug. He said, yes. Anna gave him a hug and asked him to play with her during recess. During recess, she made sure that he always got a turn. Now we know the main character in the story is Anna, but our job is to figure out, was she a good character or was she a bad character? We're going to look for clues inside of the story that helped us figure out what kind of character she was. Let's look at some of the things that Anna does in order to determine whether she was a good character or a bad character. Now, one of the things that she does right away is she asked him if he was okay. And that's usually something that nice people do when they see that somebody else isn't feeling good or they're feeling sad. You check on them to see if they're okay.
Another thing that Anna does is she asked him if he needed a hug. She thought about his feelings and also thought about, maybe he doesn't like hugs. So before I give him one, let me ask him if he would like me to give him one to see if it'll help him feel a little bit better. Another thing that Anna does is she asked him to play with her during recess. Because she knew that he was upset, she wanted to make sure that he knew that he had a friend and that he didn't feel lonely. So he had somebody to play with. The last thing that Anna did was she made sure that he always got a turn. So she was looking out for the little boy and knew that because he wasn't feeling very happy, he needed a friend, and also she wanted to make sure that he always got a turn, that way he didn't start to feel sad again. Now, after using all of this information that we got from this story, do we think that Anna is a good person or a bad person? And we need to use text evidence in order to support our answer. Now remember, when giving an answer, if you cannot give proof or give evidence to prove why you think what you do, then you cannot get points for it. So let's look at an example. Anna is a good person because she saw a boy who was sad and made him feel better by giving him a hug, playing with him, and making sure he always got a turn. So here you see that this person who gave an answer used the word because. They needed to explain why they thought Anna was a good person. So they used all of the clues that we highlighted above and put that into their answer. Now, when reading books, make sure that you are always looking for the clues that the authors are giving you, because an author is always trying to give you clues. They're always trying to give you clues that describe what the characters are like. And sometimes they're going to be small clues like we saw in the example that we just read. Little examples where Anna asks, "Can I give you a hug?" where she checks in on someone who she sees that feels sad. The author did not tell us Anna is a good person in this story. So make sure you know that. No, the author did not warn us, did not tell us what kind of person Anna was. The author instead gave us lots of clues that helped us figure out that Anna was a good person. So whenever you are reading, make sure you take the time to slow down and really think about, what clues did the author give me for each of the characters?